Welcome to CosmoFactory, a podcast by Cosmoprof Worldwide Bologna, where we explore the entire cosmetics, personal care, and fragrance industry supply chain. I'm your host, Deanna Utrusky, and here at CosmoFactory, we look beyond the trends to discover the ideas, initiatives, and innovations that are truly advancing beauty. Let's get started. This episode is all about virtual skin analysis and product try-on technology, about consumer applications of AR and AI, and much more. With me today on the CosmoFactory podcast is Wayne Liu, Chief Growth Officer and President of Perfect Corp. Welcome.
Thank you. Hi, Dina. Thank you for having me. So I'm very happy to be in your podcast to share some of our company's development and innovation product.
Excellent. I'm so glad you're here as well. Now, for listeners who don't yet know about Perfect Corp, just tell us a bit about the company, will you?
Yeah, sure. So Perfect Corp is a technology company, but one thing very special about our company is that we are using technology to create a product to serve the beauty industry. So company been in the business for about almost 10 years, a little bit more than 9 years. So we're using AI and AR to create technology like a virtual try-on on the makeup, for virtual skin analysis, and then probably something like the hair try-on. So that's primarily what we've been doing.
Excellent. I love that. I didn't realize that. I think Perfect Corp and I have been in the beauty industry about the exact same time. That's a very fun little fact I didn't notice.
Yeah.
Now, when you and I spoke last week, you reminded me that the company actually started as an incubator project. I'm wondering if you can help me think about how it grew into what we see today. Why are you in beauty? What's going on?
Yeah, so actually that's a very interesting, amazing journey. So actually our company was, so I also work in our parent company, supposed to be parent company. Right now is our largest investor, the company called Cyberlink, which is the same company. Alice Chen is our current CEO. She founded like 20 something years ago.
Yes.
So that company is a purely a technology company. Okay, so they're very tech and doing the video editing, video playback, and all kind of cool technology. So I think around 2014, okay, so because of Cyberlink's product is mainly on the PC, and then at that time, personal computer is sort of like slowing down. So that's why we are thinking about, okay, well, so what's the next? We have such a good technology. And then so that's why we are thinking about, oh, maybe let's try mobile. Okay, at that time, mobile is a good thing. And also Alice Chen, our founder, CEO, just female. She said, why don't we do something fun just for the female audience?
Yeah.
So that's why we do the brainstorming and then with our technology and then the application on the mobile and then for female. So naturally we come up with a virtual try-on because we are really good at all this, the color and then the reflection, the lighting. So that's why we are trying. So we create an app called You Can Makeup and also another app called You Can Perfect. So we start with these two apps within Cyberlink. Okay, so we are more like a project inside Cyberlink. And then as we grow, we create this app and then put it into the app store. And then so we see this naturally, like organically, the app grow very fast. We start seeing 1 million download, 10 million download. And at the point of time where we get 100 million download, we feel like, okay, so they can be a real business. And then also we get some, the beauty company call us, say, can you think about like trying, can we license technology because it seems like fun. So at that time, it's about like, as I said, like 9 years ago, we started putting everything together and create Perfect.
Mm-hmm. That's excellent. That's excellent. And I think it's a good example of technology in action because it clearly was fun to use, right? To see the user
Yes.
numbers go up, even when it wasn't a product. I think that's very telling. And it also kind of strikes me, I think it's a good example of, early tech adoption for the companies that reached out to you, but also really the power of partnerships. I know that so many of your partners now are what we think of as consumer-facing companies,
Yes.
brands big and small. But if some of the first companies that had reached out to you had been maybe ingredient companies or contract manufacturers, you and I could have a totally different conversation today. So I just think it's so interesting, who was paying attention to your technology early on.
Yes. Yes. That's very interesting because, of course, because we do a virtual tryout. So very naturally, we get the attention from the beauty company, especially
Sure.
the big beauty brand. And then they are always looking for like seeking the new innovation to engage the customer. So that's how things started. And then, of course, Estee Lauder company and even L'Oreal, they are interested in our technology. So partnership, as you say, is very important because we are technology company. Technically, we don't know too much about beauty. We
Yeah.
have we have a tons of technology, but how do we implement into the beauty industry to serve the beauty customer? That's just something partnership really fit into. Okay, so when we talk to Estee Lauder company, they told us, "Oh, can you do this? Can you do that?" Because they may have a wish list. That's well, actually, we are thinking, well, let me maybe a good interesting project. Okay, so use our technology and with their domain knowledge, we implement something together. And also, when we get into the skin analysis, that one is definitely partnership play a crucial role in that because the skin analysis is a machine learning. Okay,
Mhm.
machine learning, we need lots of data. How can we get all this data, right? So that's why we engage with the early partner like Neutrogena. They're
Mhm.
Johnson. They was Johnson Johnson, so that's why they have quite a lot of data, and then building on the trust. Okay, so they provide us the know-how, the data, and then we can use our technology to create something benefit for both sides. So that's
Mhm.
why that's how everything gets started. Yeah,
Mhm.
partnership is it's a critical in our business.
Yeah, no, and that makes such good sense. That partnerships really are a big piece of it. And since you mentioned machine learning, and of course we're talking about both AI and AR here, I wanted to think a little bit more deeply about those topics. Oh, my understanding, and you can correct me if I'm not right on this, but generative AI, like a lot of what we see sort of in the consumer or everyday space now, right, with things like ChatGPT and what have you, is purely statistical, right? It's trained on a fixed set of data, and then when prompted, it will return information based on what I would understand as statistical probabilities. And so I also kind of want to take our listeners back to one of our very first episodes here on the CosmoFactory podcast. When I spoke with a company called Vision, that they use AI for quality control in cosmetic product manufacturing. So this company works with images as their data, and I think Perfect Corp is doing the same thing. Can you tell me a little bit about how your technology was trained and what sort of data is tagged and how much data is there? What's going on here?
Yeah. So AI is a hot topic. Everybody talk about AI,
Yeah.
but we are actually using AI since the beginning of our company started because we do virtual try-on, right? But the thing here is that in order to do I'll say sort of like a good virtual try-on, intelligent virtual try-on, you need to have a brand to understand your subject, okay? Because you need to understand who are you trying to put the makeup on and then what kind of condition they have. So that's why the machine learning play a very important role here. We using machine learning in the many aspect of our product, but one really I would say the permanent one is the skin. As I mentioned earlier, we need to skin is more on the diagnostic side, right? So
Yes.
the makeup is try on, but skin is diagnostic. In order to have an accurate diagnostic result, we need to have a machine to learn. Okay. So far, our engine, we call engine, but basically it's our skin analysis product. So we can analyze the skin, all kind of skin condition. We come up with 14 different concern. Like we just do a quick scan, like 5 seconds. We tell you how your skin look like in the 14 different category: wrinkle, eye bag, radiance. So that one also we compare you with the peer, and we come up with the score. So in order to get into the very accurate and then consistent result, we train by 70,000 different data set. Okay, so 70,000, our data, as you mentioned, is more like an image. It's a
Yes.
highly curated tagging image. For example, we come up, we get the data, which is the raw image, and we need to tag it. Because, for example, this one is a wrinkle. How serious is the wrinkle? We can identify 32 different type of wrinkles.
Mhm.
And then for
So
type
you've
of acne,
basically,
so,
if I can jump in, you've taught the
yes,
technology then to not only identify a wrinkle, but to determine what what depth it is, or how
Yes,
that's what you're
yes.
explaining. Yeah. Okay. Go on.
Yeah, so basically it's more like we are training dermatologists, if you
Yeah.
like. So we're feeding all the data to train the machine because of the AI machine, they know pretty much nothing. So you start to train them, okay? So that one we consider as a so-called a classic. So right now we call the classic AI, which machine learning, and then they do prediction, okay, based on what you train. So they do prediction, okay? So what your skin look like, and then what's the score, as I said, compared to your peer. And then, however, right now we do generative AI. So generative AI is similar. You have to train them. But the thing is, it's we call the unsupervised learning.
Mhm.
So you throw all the data to the engine, they learn by themselves. Okay, but the supervised learning, which we call the classic AI, is you set a boundary and let it learn, and then they do prediction. So it's more like under control. But the generative AI is different. So they create something by themselves. Okay, so that's the power of generative AI, but also a little bit scary thing there because they just train by themselves. Okay,
Yeah.
so we are using generative AI to do simulation.
Hmm.
So we train, and then they identify, they diagnose your skin, and then we'll start doing the what if. Okay, so what if you do this, then how your skin will look like. So that's kind of simulation part, and
And that would
also
be, what
probably
if I applied this product? How would it
yes,
benefit or change my skin?
yes, and also we are getting to more like a plastic surgeon side. So if you okay, so if you do this kind of a treatment or routine, what your face will look like. So
Yeah.
something like that. So that one is part of more like a generative AI. So it creates. So the different thing is on the traditional, we call the classic AI, it's more like a prescription. Okay.
Yeah.
So they understand your condition and then they predict. But generative AI is they understand your condition and then they create. So that's a different in between these two AI. But basically they have to learn by the data.
Yeah. Yes. No, that was very helpful. Thank you so much for that. And I know too that with all partnerships and businesses, proprietary data is very important. And I think when we spoke earlier, you mentioned that the companies you partner with, rather, of course, sort of own their own customer data, and that data then is not being used to train the general AI, right? It belongs to the brand partner. Can you help me think about how that works?
Yeah, so usually we create the baseline with our information and the data we get. We create a baseline. And then, for example, like a brand A, if they want us to do something specifically for them, and then they provide us data. So we will use their data to train a set of engine. So that engine primarily will be using in their project. We are not going to, we won't use the brand A's trained data to sell to brand B. So that's how we call them more like a clean room type of practice. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's why the brand like to work with us. For example, if we have a clinic, right? So we're using clinic data to train their skin, the shape. So we have a more like a shape finder, shape matching. We use
Yes.
clinic. We won't take a clinic to get another brand. So that's pretty much that's the practice. So that's why that we always follow on that. Yeah.
Right. Right. That's so interesting. It learns for each company that you work with. I love that. Help me think a little bit too about how Perfect Corp works differently with large multinational brands and then with smaller brands, because I believe you serve, beauty brands of every size.
Yes. So basically, I'll say the technology is pretty much equal, right? So we train AI, we do the skin analysis, and we do the virtual trial. So the baseline, the technology is the same. However, the bigger brand has a more variety. They have a more ask to do
Mm.
customization. So based on their brand DNA. So that's why the final product you see from the big brand will be very different because they add their own called the ingredient, the color. So based on their how they engage with their customer, so we customize something for them. So usually for the bigger brand, their product is more complicated. Okay, more complicated, especially in the engagement side.
Mhm.
And then also the UI UX, the final presentation will be very different. But for the smaller brand, so they can use our more like a standard solution. They take this usually it's API and plug into their website. Okay, so they still can do a virtual tryout. They can still do a skin analysis. So that's why the baseline technology is very similar. But the bigger brand, especially the multinational brand, they have a different concern, the consideration on the different area, right? So because they do a different region, they may need to fit into different region because the customer behave different. So it tend to be the larger scale and then also more complicated project.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's so interesting. Thank you. And I know too that Perfect Corp technology is being used for what I would describe as consumer education. One of the examples you shared with me in an earlier conversation was about oral care.
Yes.
Yeah, can you tell us a little bit about that concept?
Yeah, so that one basically we work with oral is not our
No,
focus
but
market.
it
Yeah,
does
it
cross
just
into beauty
happened.
more and more
Yeah, just
now.
so that's why interesting is that the brand when the brand see technology, they have a different idea.
Yeah.
But we reach out by a Colgate, okay, because they know we are very good at the color. We do different color tryout and then the different all type of different we call the skin the shade finding. So that's why they know we are very good at coloring.
Yeah.
So they approach us and they say, can you do something about teeth brightening because they have a tool to using different teeth to show customer. So that's why we work with the Colgate. We have a activation. So now they put this into their package is a QR code. So the customer can scan the QR code from the package, and then they can start to try using AR to try as a part of the education process. So we believe, AR, especially the AR trial, can be a pretty significant part, especially on the education side.
That's helpful. Thank you. Wonderful. You've mentioned the shade finder technology a couple of times, and one thing we like to talk about here on the CosmoFactory podcast is how ideas become innovations. Can you tell us more about the concept for shade finder and then what it looks like today?
Yeah. So as I said, our roadmap usually impact by our customer. Okay, so that one is a great example. So first we do virtual tryout, right? So we do all the color. And then one time we regularly do this business update with the executive on this brand. So one time one of the president of the brand, he asked us, okay, so because one of their challenges to really get the right shade foundation, especially for the e-commerce, right? Because you cannot try. If you go to the store, you may try, but the shade finding become an issue. And then the problem here is it create lots of a return.
Yes.
Okay, if you buy the different shade, usually you buy the same shade over and over, but actually your skin tone change, especially it's like during the summer, you went to a vacation, come back, your skin get a little bit darker. So that's why if you get the wrong shade and then you return. So that's why he asked us, can you do this with the shade finding? We'll say, well, let's see, let's try. And then that's how we start, again, using the AI to learn your different shade and also not just your skin tone, but also the variation, especially in some of, because, we need to be inclusive. We need to cover many different aspects of the shade. So
Yes.
some of the darker skin, they tend to reflect the light a lot. So that's why there's a process of the machine learning to refine the algorithm. And also some of them, we have a situation where I have an uneven skin. Okay? So because originally we sample once, like a different part of the skin,
Okay.
the face, but
Yes.
now you have the uneven skin tone. So you need to be careful. So understand your customer's need, getting right data, refine your algorithm. So that's how we come up with this the shade finder. Now the product become pretty mature. Lots of brands using that. They are so happy because you can get the right shade. And then you don't really need to go through that process to return. Yeah, create some of the environmental challenge, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, and that's helpful that you explain some of those challenges in terms of light reflection, in terms of shade variation across any individual's face. I'm wondering too how significant like camera technology is to what you do. Of course, lighting matters, as you suggested, but I'm imagining that, the smartphone cameras and laptop cameras have really helped support sort of the more sophisticated solutions you can offer. Is that true?
Yes, yes. So the hardware, the advancement of hardware will definitely help software. So when we start like 9 years ago, at that time, some of the cameras, especially not necessarily just a camera, but the smartphone is not that powerful. So that's why we need to do lots of optimization on our code. Well, when we write the code, when we create the product. But now because the advance of this the hardware, especially the camera, the resolution getting very high.
Yeah.
So it will help us. So as long as we can develop some algorithm to catch all the detail, so then the product will get more sophisticated. So that's why the hardware advancement definitely will help a lot.
Yeah, interesting, interesting. I wanted to touch on another one of your newer technologies. This, I believe it's called the makeup transfer. Can you explain what that does and how you developed it?
Yes. So that concept has been there for many years, as I say, but there is a challenge. So that's why eventually we launched, just a couple of months ago in May, in June, we announced in the VivaTech. So basically, the concept is pretty simple. Okay, so if you see a makeup, a look which you like, you want to try it.
Right.
Okay, for
Maybe I see
example,
it
you
in a
see some
magazine or in a
yeah
television program or something. Yeah.
celebrity or in the red carpet, right? So
Yeah.
you every time you go to red carpet or the kind of ceremony, you have some really good look you want to try. But how can you try it? Okay, so you know it's simple, right? So ideally, you take a picture and then virtually try on your face it. But this transfer process can be pretty difficult because in several folds. First is you don't know how they do this, especially for the eyes makeup. My eyes makeup usually is a layer.
Yes.
You see the final finish, but you don't know how they layer it, right? And then also they are using multiple different products, so you don't know that. So that's
Yeah.
why you are guessing. Lips probably is easier. It's yeah, because it's just a color, so you just understand the color. But for the eye makeup and also some of the like blushes, yeah, you have to do the guessing game. Okay?
Yeah.
So that's why, as I say, as the advance of the AI, we start using machine learning. Of course, it's a machine learning and then lots of different algorithms. We try to understand, we try to decompose, and then guess what's the best one. It all happened in second. Okay, so complicated process, but it happened very soon. So now we can actually transfer the makeup, the look which you like, onto your faces. You can try it like virtually.
Yeah, it's so interesting to think about technology being able to sort of decompose, almost take away a layer at a time to
Yeah.
understand or help us imagine. Um, it, that makes me wonder, and maybe this isn't that complicated, but I want to ask anyway. Um, can you do the skin analysis technology applications with people in full face makeup? Are you able to sort of remove the makeup and do accurate skin analysis, or is that sort of
Yeah. So I guess ideally, yeah, we want to do your the face without makeup.
right?
So
Right. None of the,
ideally,
the
yeah,
decomposing piece is more
decompose.
challenging.
Yeah. But the thing here is that in some aspect of the skin, because we identify 14 different concerns, some of the concern can really be done even you have a makeup. Okay.
Sure.
But some of them, it will be a little bit challenging. Okay. Especially say for pore, right? So if you do a heavy makeup, you cover everything, we won't see it. So if you won't see it, you won't be able to identify.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But some of them like moisture,
Mhm.
actually, even you have a makeup, we can sort of understand your skin moisture level.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's so interesting. I love it. I love it. So I know that Perfect Corp has participated in several editions of CosmoProf, and including
Yes.
CosmoProf Worldwide Bologna. I believe you've spoken at Cosmo Talks educational programming, as well as exhibited at the show. I'm just wondering if you can tell me sort of what the experience has been like, why a company like yours would show up there, what's going on for you?
Yeah, so we'll actually I still remember when the company started in 2015,
Yeah.
the very first show we went because we started at June 1st.
Yeah.
And then Cosmoprof Las Vegas happened usually July. So
Right.
that's probably the very first show we attended. Okay.
Wow.
So as the company grow, so the goal for attending the Cosmoprof will have it also change. It changed as we grow. But basically, what we really like to see, of course, is the networking. We are in the beauty industry. It's a good place to network, to see the friends, and then the second one, of course, education, especially some of the Cosmoprof talk, right? Education series. We sit there, we listen. Of course, we get lots of understanding of the trend. And then the third one is we see lots of people, vendors, potential customer. Okay, that's a good place to meet all these different people. And then during the conversation, communication, we start learning and understand the trend of the beauty industry. So that's definitely as a good place to be educated, to meet people, networking, and also to develop your business.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that because it really is such an immersive experience. You cannot help but learn. And with, it's just such a diversity of the industry in terms of the sectors that come together, the countries, that show up. I appreciate what you shared there. Thank you. I did, have some wishful thinking there at the beginning when I said if, supply side companies had reached out to Perfect Corp 9 years ago, we might have a very different conversation. But I'm wondering if you, see any potential to work with, ingredient companies or manufacturers, or maybe if it's not something that Perfect Corp might do, what are you seeing in that space? Do you pay attention to how AR and AI are being used elsewhere in the industry?
Yeah, so we've been approached by the contract manufacturer and ingredient company. They have a different idea. So as I said, because of some of the resource constraint, we may not be able to do this now, but potentially we could. Okay, some of the idea, for example, virtual prototyping. Okay, because sometimes you get a color, right? On the color makeup side, you have a color, but you really don't know if that color is the right on some of the person, and then how they the feedback on that. So that's why if you do a virtual prototyping, you create some virtual color, and you can do probably do like a beta testing with a select customer and see
Sure.
how the feedback, instead of create a batch of the real product and then you find out the color wasn't the right one. So that's a virtual prototyping. That's the one idea.
Yeah.
And also some of the skincare ingredient company, they approach to us. So they, sometimes they need to do some kind of the focus group, right, to get them understanding, to get the understanding the feedback of the skincare product, and also sort of like a clinical trial type of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so they say, oh, because to conduct a clinical trial or panel can be pretty time consuming and resource consumption. So that's why they said maybe we can do this virtually, right, instead of get people together in the place. We probably can have them do the testing at home and then come out with a different kind of a result. So that can be a potential application from our skincare analysis tool.
Right, right. And I'm reminded you say their skincare analysis. I think earlier you mentioned hair as well. Do you want to say anything about what your technology is doing with hair?
Yeah, so in the hair, we have a different function for the hair. The very first one is, of course, the virtual tryout. Okay, so actually the product, the contract manufacturer company, they can use this one to see if the color is right. So that, of course, that's the right thing. So we do a color tryout, and we also can do hair type analysis. We can identify different type of hair, and then recommend. Right now is we do a recommendation on the different product for them to use. And then also we are working with some of the hair brand to do hair style, because some of them are doing a hair styling tool and also foaming like the product. So that's why they want to educate so how their product can help the customer to create different hair type. So that one is 100% like a generative AI. So we look at your face, look at your hair color, that the color, your original color, and then the hairstyle which you want to be, and then we create a hairstyle just like yours, like naturally.
Sure, sure. It's so interesting. It's the virtual try-on with the makeup, with the hair, as you're describing it. It really is creating sort of the before and after experience for the consumer, right?
Yes.
In a very real way. That's so exciting. Is there anything
And
else
low
you think?
risk. Because
Yes,
low
right.
risk.
Right. I did not just dye my hair purple.
Yes.
Right. I can experiment it. That's so true. Low risk and low cost, as you were saying earlier, which helps the consumer and the brand. You mentioned the Shade Finder helping with product returns.
Yes.
So I think that's really significant. I'm wondering if there are other sorts of AR or AI in beauty, anything we need to be aware of from your company or elsewhere in the
Yeah.
ecosystem.
So we recently announced the Beauty GPT
Uh-huh.
concept, and then I guess we also have some demo early prototype. So basically, so we have all the components. And so we do hair, we just mentioned, and then
Yeah.
we can do virtual tryout, and then we diagnostic your skin condition, and we understand your check. So at the end of the day, we are dealing with the human being.
Yeah.
So human being is not only hair, it's not only skin, it's not only eye or lips. They are holistic, a human being. So that's why what we've been doing here is that we provide a very powerful platform to integrate everything together to serve the customer. Okay, so for example, customers simply ask, what's the best look for me today? Okay, I'm going to a party. So then with all the components we have, the AI engine, we can crank in the engine and then come up with the ideal solution for them. And then they may ask, okay, so wearing all the makeup, and then how about my hair I'm in the skin condition today, and then will there any of this makeup enhance the skin condition, something like that. So they may have all kinds of different questions. So that's why we are looking at holistic human as a beauty lover. We try to use the power of AI to empower the beauty lover. Okay, so they are more like they can constantly do the consultation and do the trial, they do the check, okay, diagnostic, and come up with the most beautiful thing they define. It's not like people tell you what beauty is. You define your own beauty with all the AI tools. So that's why we are trying to come out. We actually come out with a platform. Okay, so that's why we put everything together and then empower the beauty, also empower the beauty brand. Because in that case, if we train by their own data, they can specifically serve their customer. Okay?
Sure.
So that's a platform which serve all the beauty lover. That's something we believe that's the combination of all the technology together. That's eventually come up with this product.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. Because it's, what you're describing to me is partly what I would call like a holistic look, but it's also, you're thinking about treatment or care routines, based on, like you said, skin condition that day, based on sort of each consumer's expectations of what they want their skin or hair to look like, or what they think, makeup can help them express. So I think that's very interesting. You wouldn't need to mix and match one celebrity's hairstyle with another celebrity's makeup. You can really build it for yourself. That's really compelling. So interesting.
It's a true personalization. Okay, look at yourself. You're as the man of the topic, and then we look at you. We analyze all the condition and understand your preference. We come out the best look for you.
Right, right. Oh, that's fantastic. I love it. I love it. Well, this was a super informative conversation, Wayne. I really appreciate your joining me today on the CosmoFactory podcast. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Thank you again.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening. If you find the CosmoFactory podcast useful, please take a moment to leave us a 5-star review and share your thoughts so even more cosmetic industry professionals can discover the CosmoFactory. I'm Deanna Utrusky. Please join me again next Tuesday for a new episode of the CosmoFactory podcast.